And are we live? We are live. It is that time of the week.
Woo!
Friday night live with my lovely co-hosts, Sean and Mark. Good evening, gentlemen. It's a beautiful Friday. Mark, I love your background, and may our guests know that that's not a virtual background. That is reality. That is literally reality.
VR, baby.
Before we begin tonight, Sean, I'm very curious. What do you have in your lap?
Well, in my office, I have a beautiful little meerkat, which is a model of my partner who's sitting at home. This is the exact replica of her as we speak, and we've donned it with some nice cameras here so that no sneaky activity ever gets taken place into my office without us knowing, you see?
Sean, I would love that if time provides today, you give us some good stories, because I hear the rumors that that's a very, very lucky meerkat. Anyone who even walks past is blessed with fortune.
Spot on. You've tried it, tested it. I've tried it, tested it. Works 10 out of 10 times. 100%.
10 out of 10 times. 10 out of 10 times. On that check, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Friday Night Live. I'm your host, Kesh. I've got Sean, Mark. Tonight's topic is goal setting. It is super, super important for all three of us, for our clients in our personal lives, professional lives. All three of us are huge on goal setting and actually achieving those goals, not setting them up and forgetting them the next day, and actually achieving those goals. Now, I understand we are all human and things can get tough and we can get overly confident with our goal setting, and set some goals that could be sometimes unrealistic or under-realistic. Are you pushing yourself hard enough, or are you not pushing yourself at all? So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about goal setting. It's coming to that end of the year. A lot of times people want to put tools down, relax, but in the JR family, Sean, Mark, and myself like to load up on tools, go double as hard, pedal to the metal, make it count till Christmas. We love it. We absolutely love it, because we truly believe goals are just dreams waiting to happen. And I know for a fact that my beautiful co-hosts, Sean and Mark, know a lot about it. So we're going to talk about that tonight. But before I get into the topic, gentlemen, may I ask, Sean, how has your week been?
I love this question so much. Every week it comes and it catches me by surprise. I'm not joking. But this week, honestly, has been very, very chaotic. But honestly, chaotic in a good way. And I have to throw a little disclaimer in for all of you guys who know that that are waiting on me for a few things. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm getting back to you as soon as possible. But the week has been chaotic, battling deals, obviously, looking after new clients, helping them with the education side of things. But we're getting a lot of existing clientele that are doing numerous set of things across the property space and across the investment world. So the week has been chaotic, but chaotic's always a good week on our books. So we'll take that as opposed to not being busy.
100%. Now, before I get to our handsome Mark, our Italian stallion, I just want, ladies and gentlemen, our audience to know the reason. And Sean's too humble to toot his own horn, so I'll tell you why we're getting repeat clients, and I'm telling you why old clients are coming back. Because guess what? They did some goal setting with us 2 or 3 years ago, and they actioned those goals, and those goals have become reality in terms of equity and cash. And those goals are allowing them to reach the next goals by making further purchases and working with Sean, myself, and Mark to find the right properties, the right strategy, the right locations for them. Hence, the chaos is crazy. We love it. Bring it on. And we're so excited in this chaotic world of Sean, of Mark, and myself. We are seeing some great results for some lovely people who deserve all that success, because they actually took action and they're getting rewarded for it. That's beautiful. Now, coming to Mark, how has your week been, sir?
It's been good. It's been more than good, as we always say. It's been a cracker. But, it's been a good day. It's been nice to actually spend a bit of time in the office as well. Forgot what this place looked and smelt like.
Oh, 100%. It just brings in that energy back, being on your desk in the den.
The wolf
Oh,
den.
that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Now, moving on to tonight's topic, we want to understand goal setting. Okay, so there's a lot of confusion about goal setting. And let me share a quick fact with you. So in 2021, 74% of the population admitted on setting up of goals around health, self-improvement, money, family, love, career, and the rest said they didn't have one. So this is for the people who have actually set up whatever goal that might be. Could be money, could be health, could be personal development, could be relationships, could be a combination of few things. The funny thing is, most of them didn't make it the first week and they fell off the wagon. Okay.
Wow.
Now, there's some challenges in the goal setting world. There's a lot of rah-rah on YouTube, motivation, and you can get really pumped up very quickly in that short span of time. But for me, I've got a question for both of you, and Sean, I'll start with you first. Can you please share with us just a few insights for our lovely audience? What is the definition of effective goal setting? And mate, if I failed every single year and I've been overwhelmed, where do I start from? How do I even get started? What do I write pen to pad? The starting. We'll talk about sticking later, but how do I get started?
Sure. So getting started. So it's really great what you mentioned earlier as well with regards to the statistics, and you said something really interesting as well, Kesh, about motivation and rah-rah motivation. So sometimes people are forced to set goals that they don't innately really desire themselves. So for example, a lot of people's fitness goals are superfluous in the fact that they're based on what the world wants out of them, as opposed to what you really want for yourself. The best way to determine goal setting is take quiet time out of the day, or take quiet time out of the week to actually decide, calm yourself and figure out what you truly want. And based on what you want, there's in training, we do something called the legacy ladder. And a legacy ladder is something that builds out the real reason you do things in life, which is a lot of people want to find out, where is God or who is God? A lot of people want to find out where is the money. Now, when you're looking at where is the money and you really answer that question, which is what is it doing for you, you get to realize that you reach a surface level. So the surface level is, okay, money helps me have, let's say, more choices to that I can do what I want to do with my time. Break it down to the next level, and then you're going to realize that, okay, if I have more time to do what I want, then I'd end up spending more time with my family. If you end up spending more time with your family, what are you really getting at the end of it? It's love, affection, and feeling needed. So if you find out from a legacy aspect, what do you really desire, that'll help you really fine-tune your goals that you set for a weekly basis, monthly basis, and an annual basis. So in terms of getting started, that's the best thing to do, is take quiet time out where you're not necessarily getting influenced by too many things at the same time. And if you're just being bombarded with motivation, there's something really funny that I like talking about all the time, and I let my clients know this as well when we set up goals, is, if you're an idiot and you just get super motivated, you'll be a motivated idiot, right? So
I love
we
that.
don't want people motivated for the sake of it. So I don't know what percentage of the population are idiots and what percentage aren't. So obviously people aren't going to be honest in their answers there anyway. But motivation's great, but inspiration's a little bit different. So I feel if you set goals from an inspiration perspective that stick, one of the key ingredients is never consistently changing the goalposts. So how we have a weight goal, we end up, let's say, hitting an ideal weight goal. What happens is, if we know we've procrastinated to achieving it, and I'll let you get into deep diving around the metrics and how to help it stick in the future while we keep discussing, but sometimes the habit of postponing those goals or moving those goalposts back, as opposed to putting in the hard yards and playing catch up, you realize that it sets people up for failure, because you're ingraining in your subconscious mindset that you are someone who will not achieve those goals. And you never will. And year in, year out, January 1st comes around, you're excited, you're motivated, and then February 1st, you realize you failed all of the goals on the list. So don't let the bad habits sort of creep into your subconscious. Number two, if you're going to set a goal, set it from a realistic expectation perspective. And definitely you can dream big. You can have big, hairy, audacious goals. But at the same time, you've just got to make sure that it's something that you truly want to achieve. That way, you're not tempted to move goalposts in here and out and do the wrong thing pretty much.
Well, mate, that is fantastic. That is a fantastic start to understand for someone. So to summarize, be real, have quiet time, understand what your goals are, be very, very clear with your goals, and set some realistic timelines, some realistic benchmarks to be able to achieve those goals and not fall off the wagon. 100%. Now, Mark, on the back of that, what I really want to ask you, and mate, you're someone that I think has very high IQ, of course, but EQ, a very strong emotional quotient where you're really good at what you do because you are extremely, for the people who don't know, you're a very humble and genuine person. And you say how sometimes people might take it the wrong way, but you just say it how it is without offending anyone in their best interest. And I know you're someone who would have empathy towards certain people like that where, okay, let me give you an example. Let's just say I set up my goals, I was following my goals, and an unforeseen circumstance happened, right? Where my job situation changed, or family situation changed, and I fell off my wagon, if you will, or my trajectory for say 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 week. At that point, what is a conversation you would have with yourself as a relentless person of coming back and not beating yourself up and actually moving forward? What advice would you give people, and what do you want to say on that?
Yeah, look, I think firstly, you make me sound like a really good person, so thank you for that.
You are, mate. You are.
It was really, really nice. No, but in all honesty, I think, look, we've all been in those moments where there's self-doubt. We've all been in those moments where we do fall off the horse, let's say. And you would be silly to think that you will always 100% be on the horse the whole time and continue going up and up and up. Nothing in the world has continued going up without having a moment of going down to recorrect itself and do it again. And, you know, I'm a big believer, because I've gone through it multiple times in life. And I think as human beings, we go through it time and time again, where the old saying of, you know, you don't know how good you've got it until it's gone, right? I think stands very true in anything that you do in life, because you can't know you've got it good until you have lost something or until you stop doing a certain habit. And I go through this all the time where, you know, I've got a certain habit where, let's just use a fitness goal or a fitness habit, for example. You know, in the last couple of months, I guess, since being in lockdown and whatnot, I've developed a really good morning routine, which I didn't have. I've always had a good morning routine, but it has gone up and down. And in the last few months, brought it back up. And I was like, wow, you know, as I continue getting older, I start to realize how important this fitness routine is to have first thing in the morning. But again, we get busy in life, you know. At the start of last year, I had a child, so that changed my routine, my life.
100%.
You know, there was things that popped up, and there's going to be another thing that will pop up, you know, in the next 1 to 2 years, whether it be a financial hurdle, whether it be a physical hurdle, a mental hurdle, it doesn't matter. But you will come across these hurdles and know that you need to deal with it in some way, shape, or form. And I think, you know, even with, let's say, our day-to-day role with what we do with clients and things like that, you know, let's say we have clients that come in and, you know, they may have been really good at something previously, and we're not here as life coaches to, you know, pump the tires and make them feel good about themselves. We're here to give it to them black and white and say, hey, yeah, you were in a good position, you're not now, or you're getting older, right? So let that sink in. Yeah, you might hate me now, but you're going to thank me later when you see yourself start to move on that consistent trajectory. That is what is the key, is the consistency in the trajectory. So in order to do that, there needs to be, I think, what's the way to put it? There needs to be a consistent review of your own position. Every single, I don't know, I actually do a financial review of myself every month. I track back on the past performance. What have I earned? What have I spent? Where can I stop doing something or start doing something, and apply mini milestones. And I think, I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to this. Is when I put a goal in place, I usually put a goal that is an unachievable goal. And working in with Sean in the last year and a bit, 2 years, let's call it, has been probably one of the best things that helped me, where it was about breaking down the goals. You've got the big boulder, but break it down into smaller rocks and then pebbles, right? Collect the pebbles, glue them together, you've got a rock. Collect the rocks, glue it together, you've got a boulder. And again, it's no thanks to social media. It's no thanks to comparison to other people's lifestyle stories, whatever it may be. None of us, not only in this conversation right now, but in the whole entire world, can say, "Oh, we don't compare ourselves to other people." Rubbish.
Mate, that is true. That is true. I think you've tapped on some really important gold there. And I've got another question for you on the back of this. What you said was incredible. So Sean talked about setting up your goals, the quiet time. You talked about it's okay if you fall off the horse, and you got to understand that's normal. You're human. You get back on. It's more about consistency than when people go really hard at something and then they have one bad day. That's a good enough excuse for them never to go back into that routine, and then eventually their goal doesn't get accomplished, which is brilliant. But you said something, Mark, where I want to ask you this, and I feel a lot of people, and again, don't do the review, if you will. I do something very similar to that. In fact, I'll tell you, not only money, I actually speak to my wife and go, mate, how do you think things are going for us? Like, am I working too much? Am I working too less? Like, how are you and I going? Like, life gets so busy that you sometimes forget to have those conversations with your partner. And I feel that a lot of people are unable to have these conversations because that conversation is confronting, saying, shit, I'm getting old. I'm every year I'm closer to my death and away from my dreams. And having that conversation is scary. So Mark, question back to you, mate, because you really hit it home with that one. What gives you the courage to have that conversation with yourself? Because it can be confronting. And how do you not beat yourself up or actually pick yourself up and go, I'm not going to use this as an excuse, but as a stepping stone to improvement? How do you do that? What's the mindset behind it?
Yeah, look, I think one thing that personally that I've worked on in the last probably 4 to 5 years, it's been a long process in itself, is self-awareness and reflection on the leaps and bounds you've come from a certain period in time, right? Everyone should, when I say should, it's not because it's good to have it, but everyone most likely has a low point in their life, and that should be where you measure from, right? Not and again, as I said, I'm my own worst enemy. Sometimes you will measure yourself against others, right? But if you can measure yourself from your lowest point and see how far you've come, that should give you a little bit more confidence to say, well, if I achieve that in whatever period of time that was, why can't I achieve the next thing? Because life is all about stepping to the next stepping stone. And the only way to step to every single different stepping stone is by self-awareness and reflection. Now, reflection on the past can be a fine, what do you call it? A fine line, right? Where
fine line.
some people can reflect too much and go, fall into a state of depression because they were the man back then, or all this or all that. But if you can reflect on it and say, wow, I've grown. One thing that a friend of mine told me a few years back is that when we look in the mirror every day, we're growing older. We don't see the wrinkles that appear. We don't see the grey hairs. Well, I certainly see the grey hairs because I got a lot of them. But,
me too.
But you look at it and you go, oh wow, there's more grey hair. Or, oh, I look really tired today. And then you go, wow, this is consistent. It's happened for the last 6 months. I'm always looking really tired, but that's age. And then if you can let it sink in a little bit, it happens to me from time to time. I look like I've been hit by a bus every morning, and then I wake up and I'm like, wow, I can make myself feel fresh and have a good shower, have a coffee, get back into the swing of things and feeling good. But I reflect back, at the end of the day or whatever, and go, wow, I am looking older in the mirror. And for me, that is the biggest motivator to go kick ass or have your ass kicked. Simple as
100%, 100%, and that's what I just said. Then I can't remember where I read it or heard it, and I was watching. I was in that pity mode. I was in a little pity party for myself, and and I don't know where it came from, and it really said every year. I think it was the Simpsons. I don't know. It was the Simpsons Balenciaga launch. So Balenciaga did a fashion.
Oh, that was great.
And Homer says this. That's where it came from. That he looks at his wife, and his wife is like really sad on her birthday, and for many, many years, and he says, Marge feels that every year goes by and she's closer to her death and away from her dreams. And that really hit home for me. I was just like, whoa, that is so true. And it's a confronting truth that a lot of people just don't want to face. That's why for them, you guys know I do webinars, live webinars. Sean, you do webinars. And often when I tell people, mate, your super's not going to cut it. That's the reality. Like today, the audience, whoever's watching right now, ask yourself this: how long can I sustain myself if I stop working today? Just today, you stop working. Not one single dollar comes into your bank account. How long will your super last you? How long will your savings last you? If you have a bit of equity, you sell your home, how long will that last you, right? And if the answer is, and if you're not honest with yourself, there's a big problem there, because goals will not be achieved if you're not honest with yourself. Now, Sean, coming back to you about goals, right? Mark actually touched on this really, really well. People have really big goals, and sometimes you can be naive about your goals. Sometimes people can have misconceptions around timelines. Like when you see a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old today, again, I'm not being ageist here, but they want to make $1 million by doing nothing. And there's a whole industry behind that. In 3 easy steps, I'll tell you how to be a millionaire. Check out my Lambo, right? No, the Lambo is not an unrealistic goal, or being a millionaire you should be. I don't see any nobility in poverty. Why be I literally look at poverty as a disease, because you're not only affecting yourself and your family people, you're affecting society, because you're struggling every single day and someone else has to look after you. So it's a problem. You're a liability. And in a country like Australia, where you've got HEX and Centrelink and so many mental health lines, and mate, to give it context, a lot of people beat up the government and say all that sort of stuff, but we're very lucky. Take a plane somewhere else, mate, and you'll get a reality check of how good we have it here. So I'm keeping it local. But Sean, can you please explain to me, Mark touched on this a little bit. I've got a big goal, right? Let's say I've got a 5-year goal. What is the most effective way for me to break that down into your smaller goals, the stones, and then stones to pebbles? Can you just break that for our audience, please?
Sure. So a lot of people, it depends on what sort of level of a goal setter you are. And I have conversations with my partner almost every week talking about goals. And I get shot down every single week because she can't be bothered. Because I'm too much of a goal setter. If anyone could be too much of a goal setter, it's actually me. So I set goals for everything. Like I've got a goal for this watch, or I've got a goal for this car, or I've got a goal for this that I see my team growing into.
We've got some insights, mate. Sean, I'll tell you what, audience, Sean can win everywhere. He can't win at home.
Okay, see that's why
Sean's a meerkat at home.
that's why I never stay at home. So now everyone realizes why I'm always in the office. So if you need to find me, every time I've brought a client to the office, I say, don't bother trying to find me at my place. Come to the office, you'll find me all the time. But because I set goals in levels where it's almost too much, I piss off people around me. But if you're really interested in goal setting, the best way for you to do it is analyze time frame. So not a lot of people out there are actually going to have the patience to even set up a 5-year goal. So let's talk about a 1-year goal. In a 1-year goal, you've got 2 halves to the year. We can break it down into biannually. So you've got first half of the year, second half of the year, depending on.
Actually, Sean, do you mind if I just jump in very quickly? I'll tell you what, let's try something out, because we've gotten some feedback from the audience about, let me write it down. So can you give me instructions and I'll write it down while producer Anna shares our new Friday Night Live stream. Let's see if that wants to work. Let me just give it another crack. because I reckon there's some gold in there and we want to make sure it works. Can you see that? And let's get that working. But really, producer Anna, doesn't matter. We'll give it another crack later on. Sorry, Sean, coming back to you.
So what we're looking at is pretty much in a year. Let's say you've got an annual goal. In an annual goal, you've got 2 halves to the year. Now, when you've got 2 halves to the year, you can very comfortably break it down into mini milestones, like how Mark was talking about earlier. So you've got a situation where you'll have the first half of the year goal, so break it up into 6 months, and you've got the chance of breaking up your goals into quarterly. So generally, if there's a 1-year time frame, excuse me, the easiest way to measure things is actually quarterly. So every 3 months, you can break down your big goal into smaller chunks of action items that will actually help you get that goal eventually. So within a quarter, you've got a situation where there's 3 months, so you can have monthly goals. So a single goal for an annual goal, depending on how big it is, can actually technically be broken down into 4 quarters. From those 4 quarters, it can be broken down into 12 months, and each monthly goal can also have a weekly goal attached to it. And if you really wanted to go to the next level, each week, each day in the week can pretty much have its own goal. So there can be a daily goal to get into that level. There could be a weekly goal, a monthly goal, a quarterly goal, and hence an annual goal. So if you're really looking at breaking it down, sometimes goals are just straightforward. For example, every single day I want to be able to meditate, for example, or I want to pray every single day. If this really is a goal, for example, we've got people that have repetitive tasks at work that need to be done every single day, because if that discipline's not there, then they're not achieving their greater overall outcome. So a strategy that's worked really well in the past, and I forget which book I learned this from, whether it was Deep Work by Cal Newport or whether it was The One Thing. And it talked about Jerry Seinfeld.
Really good book. Sorry, I'll do a shameless plug. We don't get paid anything for it. Sean, sorry to jump in. The Deep Work, guys, whoever hasn't read it, really good book. A lot of insights.
100%. And when you're looking at, for example, Jerry Seinfeld's strategy where, people see all the glitz and glamour after, no one sees the hard work before. And so he had a strategy where a calendar is just put out there, and in that calendar, you just mark an X every single day you do one task to getting close to your goal. So you build up what's known as a chain of habits. That way you make yourself feel bad if you miss the day that you don't do your daily activity towards your goal. That's another strategy. So for example, for us, if it's having something like a power hour, or for us, if it's something like having, let's say, 500 sit-ups in the morning before kicking off the day, or a half an hour of meditation before letting the world's chaos creep into your day, make sure you tick it off every single day. So those can be your daily goals, and a visual calendar really helps set those things apart.
Sean, I'm gonna producer Anna, if we'll try it again. We're gonna give it a clack. I think we should give clients a working model. So if everyone can see this, so Sean, what you're saying to me is, say this is January 2022. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going to be.
We're very close to it. All of a sudden, we're almost here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then there's March 2022, right? And that's 3 months there. And let's just say for someone who's got a big goal for the end of the year, right? Let's just say someone says, I want to be 10 kilos lighter. I want to spend 2 hours extra with my family, and I want to earn 100K more this year.
And
right?
and I want to read 100 books.
And 100 books. Right?
Or to make it realistic, you can throw any number of books on it, but books annually is a great example of goals people set up that they never follow through with.
Let's do 6 books in the year. I think that's very achievable. 6 books in a year is very, very achievable. Listen to an audiobook if you haven't. That's something where Mark touched on the courage for self-reflection, the emotional intelligence for doing things like this comes from reading and other people's perspectives. And a book can teach you, a $20 book or a $30 book can teach you more than 15 years of leading your life, because you only are experiencing your experiences. You're not experiencing everyone else's experiences, and they'll give you so much more context. So, Sean, you said first rule, you said break it down. So I'm just going to write it down. First rule, break it down into quarterly goals. Beautiful. Second rule for me to be a little bit more effective.
Yeah, so quarterly goals. The second rule to be the most effective is after you've broken down the quarterly goals, definitely monthly goals. So month on month.
Monthly goals. And then you said you got to tick it off daily.
Weekly first. Yeah, weekly first, and then I think daily last. Sorry.
Weekly. And then daily. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. And may I add a fifth thing that really changed my life, that I'm really, really big on, both of you know, is calendar planning. I just feel if it's not in your calendar, it's not going to get done. And whether it is going to the gym, whether it is spending time with the family, because mate, if you let something spill over, I feel, especially for you and I, anything can spill over into our space, right? Sometimes it's a late night meeting, sometimes it's an early morning thing, sometimes we're rescuing someone, or sometimes we are going above and beyond to get them that extra great result. That technically, all three of us can say it's not our job, but that's not how we roll. Everyone in the JR family is truly family for us, and we get personally involved and dedicate our time and energy to make sure they get the result that they desire, right? I think where today the biggest value we have is making these goals a reality. Now, Sean, I'll have a last question for you before we start. We'll have a little bit of fun, but how do I be really real with myself, right? How can I be honest with myself and say today you're someone who makes, I don't know, 70 grand a year, you don't have a property, you might not have a partner, I don't know, life sort of being, you're in a rut, you're unable to get out of it, you know. How do you really give yourself that motivational kick on the ass? And again, I'm not talking about rah, but that legacy play you were talking about. Yeah. I don't know how to explain it. I feel it. I know Mark does, you do. But how do you get our lovely audience, our listeners, to really identify them that spark and give themselves a good kick in the ass to get the ball rolling in their favor, if you will? Yeah,
great question. I love this so much, because I could talk about this for pretty much the whole year non-stop, all hours of the day, every day. You know, there comes a point in time where everyone has unique sparks in their life. Everyone's got the spark where they're, you know, how sometimes a lot of different events lead up to the point where you're frustrated and you've had enough. And it could be after a really bad defeat. It could be after a really tough week, after a really tough day, or after just a moment of realization. So you know that pity party thing that we talk about? Something important that I learned is in life, you're taught, when you get knocked down, just get back up, get ready to fight. When you get knocked down, just get back up. It's not about, you know, getting knocked down. It's about how fast you get back up and you're ready. Absolutely. This is important.
Hey, we're quoting some Rocky here.
Yeah, Rocky's great. But something that took me personally to the next level, where I evolved into a different human being, was when you get knocked down next time and when you've had enough, stay down. And when I say stay down, really simmer into it for a second. Enjoy the pity party. Get pissed off and write your heart out on a piece of paper. Pen to paper, make it real. Write down what's pissing you off. Use that to fuel a fire that you never knew existed, and then realize that you're going to do whatever it takes to never be in that situation again, and watch your life change completely. Sometimes people go, I've had a bad day, and you call your best friend. That's the first thing we do. If we're having a bad day, if I call the missus, she'll say, piss off. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, Tanushka, I reckon cancel dinner plans. Someone needs to be like run over by the AMG.
So the best thing is we have our inner circle that we confide in, and our inner circle is the best at lifting us up when we're down.
Providing you have the inner circle, some people have like shithouse inner circle.
And the important thing is, right, see, get this, what you've got is everyone's got an inner circle, but what I would say is everyone's so interested in having contacts that they have. If you've got 1,000 best friends, I think you're not in really the game of what a goal setter should be involved in anyway, to be honest. Your inner circles are very close-knit, 10, 20 max. So in that inner circle, you call up those that are close to you. And usually when you've had a bad day, a good person from the inner circle will say, you know what, it's okay. You'll be fine the next day. And sometimes that's what we want to hear. But someone who really cares about your problem is going to say, hang on a second, why are you in that place? Let's break it down. Let's analyze. What did you do in your control to get you in that place? Why are you really fed up? You know, we go around blaming everyone we want. We can blame the boss. We can blame the client. We can blame markets. We can blame regulations. We can blame the laws. We can blame the prime ministers. But those are things outside our control, right? So what you've got to figure out is the day that you get knocked down, revel in it. And don't make waste of it. Make haste of it. Write down everything that's pissing you off. Use that as your fire, and you'll notice your life start to change. That's something that I'd recommend to people that are in that mindset where, oh, it's too big. You know, I don't know. I need to set up a goal, but I don't really know where to start. I'm really done. But at the same time, don't be afraid to fail. Set up a goal. If you're earning $70,000 a year, let's assume a big, hairy, audacious goal in the situation. Let's say you earn 70 grand a year, no partner, no loved one, and you're working in a dead-end job that you're sick of, right? And you have a goal of being a multi-property investor, and you have a goal of being a bit more fit and a bit more healthy, and at the same time you want a great partner, right? Now there are awesome tools out there for finding a great partner, which I won't recommend out there. I've never had the using anything else. With God's grace, I was lucky to know my partner since I was pretty much in the womb. So the good thing is you're in a situation where, okay, great, you break down those goals into time frames. Now, when you're breaking down those goals into time frames, goal number one is I want to be a multiple property investor. Can I really do that on 70K a year? Yes, you can. What sort of properties are you okay to buy then? Go buy $100,000 properties because you can do it. They're in the middle of nowhere. They won't yield you anything. But now you realize, okay, wait, I don't want those properties. I want the good ones that are like 700, 800 grand. Great. What do I need to do to get that? I need to increase my income. So will my job cut it? By itself, no. But wait a second. I can still drive Uber. I can still do Uber Eats. I can still take on a side gig. I can upskill and increase my income, be more productive in the marketplace. So if I upskill myself, would I earn more than 70 grand a year? Sure. You can earn 100. You can earn 200, 500. The marketplace is willing to pay you whatever, based on whatever value you bring to the marketplace, right? So
100%.
If you do that, and if you stay disciplined, you need savings to get an investment property, right? You need savings to build a portfolio. So great, how much do I have in savings now if I'm 70K dead end job, pissed off with life? I got zero because I wasted it all at the pub every week. So now I'm not going to go to the pub every week. I'm going to save every dollar. I'm not going to rent for $800 a week just because I can. I'm going to rent for something less, get into shared accommodation, make certain sacrifices to make those goals become a reality. Where people go wrong is in life, everyone wants the cake, the cherry, and they want to eat it too. So if you really want to do that, you just have to pay the price for it. So no one's going to see Kesh, no one's going to see where you're going to end up in the next 5 years. Some people in the circle wouldn't even see it. They wouldn't even believe you. You'll be unrecognizable. But they're never going to see the sacrifices you made on a daily basis. Where Mark is today, no one in the outside circle saw what sacrifices he made in the last 12 months, in the last 5 years. So it's the unknown. So you only get recognized for pretty much 99% of the work you do, which is behind closed doors, right?
100%. And just to add to that, Mark, I've got a really cracking question for you, mate, coming up. Just to add to that, I think you've really hit it home here. I reckon you got to be really honest with yourself about, and this is not some motivational rah-rah rubbish. I'm saying, how badly do you really want it? And if you really want it that badly, what are you doing about it every single day? Because I can tell you something, mate, why goals get achieved within the JR family, within the team, within the crew, with Sean, Mark, and myself, those goals on that paper is like a tattoo that means something to us. I'm getting goosebumps thinking of my goals. It means life and death. It means as much as I want oxygen to breathe. It means that much. They're not some bullshit goals that I have bullshit goals. I know. I make a list of 10 things that I think of, and I literally highlight. I don't even think 10 things I want. in life. I highlight the first 3 that just stand out at me, and I know the rest are bullshit. That's it. And you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself. And Sean, you really, really hit it home. There is a price to pay. And I'll tell you something, Sean, you, myself, Mark, we coach, strategize people. And one thing that I say to my clients, one thing I'm saying to the audience today, mate, I don't care who your coach or strategist is. I don't care whether you're Michael Jordan. I don't care how much talent you have. I don't care how great the plan is. If you don't stick to the plan, and if you're not willing to do the work, whether it's Sean, myself, Mark, Tony Robbins, Jesus, Krishna, Allah, themselves, they can't help you if you can't help yourself. Doesn't matter who it is, you are going to help yourself. So saying that, Mark, a question for you, okay? And this is something that I know you can answer really well and relay really well to the audience to drive the message home. Who is successful? Who is responsible for your successes and failures as an individual? Which person dictates how life goes for you?
Yeah, it really does come down to one person, and the answer is, for me anyway, it's yourself. It's myself. Okay, and I want to touch back on what Sean mentioned before. I think that was a piece of absolute gold. And Tanushka's also mentioned it as well, journaling. Getting into that darkest point and journaling. I can tell you from a first-hand experience is I did that in 2018. I could almost tell you the exact date, but not the day. I could say it was a Friday of some sort. I was suited and booted. I was in the city. It was in September 2018, and I clearly remember I was sitting on a park bench outside the museum and Circular Quay there. I think it's the Contemporary Art Museum.
Yeah.
I remember just overlooking the skyline at the time. There was no Barangaroo there, as in Crown Tower. It wasn't there. It wasn't existent. There was no Salesforce building going up. Key Quarter wasn't done. It was all naked at the time. But I remember looking at that skyline. I said to myself, "All right, this is the sacrifice, or sell your soul to a degree, all right, to get to where you want to get to." And it was a very emotional experience for me in that 5-minute period that I had, where I was just going bananas on my phone, writing something in my notes just to get it out of the mind and putting it into a piece of paper. And I actually do reflect on those journaling pieces from years ago. I remember my first piece.
They're powerful. 100%.
Well, my first journaling piece was back in 2016, and I remember clearly where I was, what I was doing, and why I started writing at the time. And it's so amazing to look back on those type of memories, because they're raw emotion memories. And you look back and you go, "Wow, I was angry back then," or I was not happy with myself. And it's a milestone. You got to see them as milestones. But I think, look, going back to what your question is, at the end of the day, you are your only driving force, because whether you guys have been, you've dealt over the years a bout of anxiety or depression, or I guess let's say a lot of voices in the head. Unfortunately, the only person that can overcome those voices really is yourself. You can seek the help. We always do recommend it. First thing would be to pick up the phone and call someone, or a helpline, or whatever it may be. But if you are in that spot of bother where it's super, super bad, you really got to collect the thoughts, put it on paper, and go, well, what's causing this? What's the catalyst of my problem? And how can I fix it? Because personally, again, I always speak on first-hand experiences. I have believed in the hype from people. I have always gone, oh yeah, you know what this person says is, Kesh, you always say, are you the carrot or the string, all right? And I'm the carrot. I'm the donkey that always follows the carrot. But I've been the silly donkey that. You still got everyone's got a carrot, right? Everyone has a carrot in life. There's no way around that. But it's the silly donkey mindset where you think that the person that's putting the carrot in front of you is the answer. No, they're not the answer. As the donkey, you need to eat the carrot. The person doesn't eat the carrot. You need to eat the carrot to stay alive. All right. So, the only way to eat the carrot is by changing your habits, is by doing whatever you need to do in order to get to the next level. So I think, I know I've gone about in a tangent there, but
mate, it's beautiful.
To bring it into context, you are the only person that can change anything in your life. And I know people. I mean, I'm again first-hand experience where I had my son at the start of last year, and that for me was the wow moment. Like, all right, I need to make bank, and it wasn't because I want to have a fancy lifestyle. It was because you're an alpha male now. You're a provider. Providing for yourself is easy. Providing for other people, that's a whole different ballgame. And we know a lot of our clients are in that position. And you know what? I take so much motivation from every single one of our clients that I deal with every 100%. Single day, because 100%. I can probably say 90% of the clients have migrated to Australia. They came here with a skill set. They came here without a job, and they found a job, provided for family, and have continued building their whether it's their portfolio in real estate or whether it's just going to that next level in their life. And I take so much motivation from that, even when we're having just a quick 5-minute chat, because I look back, because we understand their financial positions, we understand what their story is, and when you look back on that, for me, that's just motivation in itself to see that you can do anything in life if you have the burning desire. If you don't have the burning desire, you can talk about it, dream about it, carry on. We've all been through those periods where we see something on Instagram, on YouTube, and we're like,
oh yeah, we're going to get it. That's it. Yeah. Conversation, and that's it. Forgotten.
It's funny because it's so funny. Jack talks about this all the time, who's our founder at JRPP. And I had put a poll on LinkedIn last year sometime about this. And Kesh, we were talking about this last week, that even on the LinkedIn poll, I gave about 4 options of what people could choose. That was the biggest reason for success, or what is the biggest, the best possibility for success. And if I try and find it for everyone, I can try and do that. But one of them was just in the poll, which is what really helps us be successful. The poll had, if you all just give me just a moment, I'll literally try and find the exact post.
I like LinkedIn polls. Yeah. Sean looks for that. I love LinkedIn polls because they're very interesting. LinkedIn, I'm giving you a shout out publicly. No, but jokes apart, I really do like them because I think the biggest thing in life for me learning is not to get defensive, but to understand people and their behavior. And being a real estate investor, I think it's less about real estate. It's more about people's behavior and what they want, and having relevant real estate, if you will. And polls like this and mindsets like this, to put it simply, if I had to make a bet on capital growth, people who are great at goal setting and are willing to take responsibility would take up the prices of that suburb, i.e. make them very affluent suburbs because they're growing with themselves, versus people who don't take responsibility and they think the government should look after them or life is unfair, end up living in really poor suburbs. I wouldn't go too far into that, but you guys get what I'm saying. It is what it is.
Of course. I've just found the results. So pretty much out of the poll, there were 4 options, right? So the question was, what do you think the main catalyst is in creating wealth? And one of the options was inheritance or family wealth, which got 18% of the votes, guys.
Wow.
Imagine lying around your whole life just to think, yeah, maybe I'll get an inheritance. What about your 40 years on this planet? What about your 50 years on this planet?
That is sad.
It's so sad. Burning desire was the second option. Burning desire luckily got 34% of the votes. The right connections only got 5% of the votes. But the thing that got the most votes, which is actually not the real right answer. The real right answer is burning desire, like we all 3 know. But the one that got the most votes, for 42% of the outcome, was the right financial education. And the reason I say the right financial education, I've studied finance. Kesh, you studied finance.
Mate,
That
got
doesn't.
an MBA finance investment banking, got a piece of paper.
He's the
I
best.
wish instead of doing that, if I'd have just bought myself one extra property, I think it would have outperformed my degree. I'll tell you that much.
So the right financial education is, yeah, it's great, but education and motivation is useless unless you implement and actually go for it. So implementation is super important when it comes to goal setting, instead of just dreaming. So dreams don't work unless you do. 100%.
Mate, 100%. Just to wrap up, I'm just gonna Mark, you reminded me of a really good story. So I have a very long story. My parents became refugees. We lost everything. Like literally, my grandfather got killed in front of my mom. Like point blank, boom. Right? We lost everything. All of that. Long story short, and when I decided, predominantly my reason to move was the wife. I was very comfortable where I was, and I still remember at the time I let go of a lot of business and a lot of other things, and it was literally going back to zero to make this move. And the priority was the wife. I'm like, money will come, money will go. You know, the right partner, very rare to find. Anyway, hopefully this works out well. But long story short, very similar to you. I was sitting there and I had all these running thoughts, right? And the sacrifices, and Sean, sacrifices have been made. Something has come out of it. It is established. It's running. I am where I want to be, actually 15 steps ahead of where I want to be, right?
Wow.
So all of that had to be put away over love. And again, this is what, mate, I wear my heart on my sleeve and I'll do anything for people I love. And that's it. I'm not attached to money. I think money is like wheat or rice. It belongs in the pantry. If when you need it, you should have it. That's it. I'm not attached to it at all, right?
It's good to have it and not need it, rather than need it and not have it, right?
100%. 100%, right? And Mark, I can tell you, I had that very moment, very, very similar moment right there. I don't know if the Opera House does it or Circular Quay does it or just Skyline does it. I still remember sitting there and I said to myself, I am never going to let the economy, a politician, another person, my womb of choice or no choice, anything get in the way between where I am and where I want to be. And the only person who can get there, is me. And the only thing that's going to get me there, is not talent, it's not hard work, it's not that. It's the belief that I can do it and put in the work and not get attached to the result. And I'll tell you something. You know what? If I get to the end of my life, and if I know for a fact that I've done everything possible to upskill, work hard, do everything, and I don't achieve the goals that I want to, I will die with a big smile on my face because I know I swung for the king fences.
Amen, brother. Amen.
And if I do get to the end of my life and I haven't achieved my goals, and I know in my heart that I didn't put in the work, I will never be able to live with myself. And I said to myself, when I said, mate, you've gotten off right now, you're on ground zero. You're not going to use this as an excuse. You're not going to let anyone else control. If you've left all of that, we're going to win, and we're going to play to win. And the whole funny synergy, life just happens. When you play to win, you start to attract. And again, I'm not going woo-woo or the secret on you. You just vibrate on a different level and you get those sort of opportunities. Mate, do you not see the richer you get, the more free shit you get?
100%.
All these athletes, and the poorer you get, no one wants to know you. And people go, this is unfair. No, it's not. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Because the more opportunities present themselves, your eyes are open, you're in a place to buy something or take action or have the resources or confidence to do stuff. So whether it comes to property investing, whether it comes to my personal relationships, whether you guys hang out with you guys or anything, I know I'm solely responsible. And only once short in life, one person said to me, and I was doing a webinar, and he said, oh, you keep saying you're responsible for your stuff and you're this and you're that and blah, 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 all of that sort of stuff. You said, you know what, mate? Some people have lost their parents to cancer, or they've had a horrible car accident, and how they're responsible for that. And do you know what I said? I said, you're not responsible, and I'm really sorry that you experienced that. That's awful. But you know what you're responsible for? It's taking on the responsibility to be there for your family. It is your responsibility, and it's in your control how you react to that situation. You can pick up the bottle, you can buy a couple of bags, you can rack up, be angry at the world, and cause more drama.
Yeah.
Or you can be there for your family, work a second job, make sure you help your parents with a mortgage or whatever needs to be done. That is your responsibility. And the day you realize everything is your responsibility, you stop the blame game and you win. There's no pity parties. If you fall, you dust yourself off, you go, mate, I tried, I'll try another way. And you just keep going and it becomes a game. And that is what you and I experience so many times. Every single day, this business life it's volatile. But what keeps us going is our mindset and ability to learn. And Mark, Sean, you guys have shared some awesome stuff today about taking responsibility, breaking that down into bite-sized matter, and actually writing down stuff. Because when you write down stuff, and even Tanishka jumped in, and Anna, producer Anna, made a comment as well, is when you write down stuff and you reflect on it, things pop out at you. And sometimes you think something was important, but it didn't happen. It didn't end up actually being. And slowly, as you keep doing this over 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, you get to know yourself. You really, really get to know yourself. You get to see your strengths, your weaknesses, where you got to upskill, where you got to concentrate. But amazing. And tonight, Sean, Mark, before we wrap up, we're going to do the rapid robins. All I want to say to our lovely audience is, guys, I don't know what episode we're doing, 13, 14, 12, 11. I've been having so much fun with it, but I just want to thank my co-host, Anna. Producer Anna says episode number 12. I just want to thank my co-hosts, Sean and Mark, to be consistently here. Guys, we don't get paid to do this. We don't get any extra benefits. We just do this because we love sharing our stories, sharing our experiences, adding value in whatever way possible. And I really appreciate the love you guys have been giving us so far. And if you think this video will add value to other people, feel free to share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, whatever needs to happen so that I can get some sponsors and we can get paid, get closer to our goals. But on that note, guys, tonight was about goal setting. If you got some goal out of it, great. I hope you took some notes. If you're still confused, you don't know where to go, what to do, get in touch with one of us and say, mate, these are my goals. Because you know what? It all boils down to the same thing. You want to achieve multiple properties, it comes down to your personal goals. You want to have a better quality of life, more time for your family, it comes down to your goals. And how you prioritize those things. And the only pro tip I'll give you, alongside my colleagues, what they've shared goal tonight, is put everything in your calendar. Because if it's not in your calendar, it will not get done. It will really, really not get done. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, time for some rapid robins. Producer Anna, we need some crazy sound effects.
Ladies and gentlemen, get excited for some excellent production quality coming up next time around. Stay tuned. Now, I can't wait. Thanks so much, Kesh. That was an awesome wrap. 2 rapid round robin questions for this evening. So we'll kick off, Kesh, with yourself. Would you rather speak to animals or know other people's thoughts?
Speak to animals, mate. I think I'll be able to screw with other people's thoughts if I could speak to animals.
That'd be good. That'd be interesting.
I'd love to be a little Dr. Doolittle.
That'd be great. You'd have the meerkat actually conversing with you tonight then.
Mate, can you imagine doing a meeting and the other person is just being horrible and you just get a seagull to just shit on their shoulder or something, or their head? How fun would that be? Revenge. Mate, we talk back. 100%. That's a really good question.
It is a good question. I've grown up with dogs for a lot of my life, so it's almost like a second nature to speak dog language. But I think it's an interesting one. I would also like to, I would speak to animals because there's the innocence there.
Yeah, right.
is the innocence. If you go into someone's mind, you really get a good picture, and it's probably super scary with some
Mate,
people.
I don't want to go into other people's mind. I would consider myself the most successful human being on earth if I could just unpack myself properly, let alone someone else.
Yeah.
That's a whole mission in itself.
So true. And Arun Duki, did we already give Arun a shout out?
We did. Arun, I reckon, mate, Arun and Kanushka are the best people. They've got such constructive comments. And guys, thank you for supporting. It really means a lot to us. It started for fun, and now we love it. And we try our best to give you some insights, at least into what we know, our circle of competence and the things that we understand. No, absolutely, mate. That was an awesome question, actually. Now, on that note, with your permission, Sean and Mark, and producer Anna, this is Friday Night Live. My name is Keshav. I host Friday Night Live with these two lovely, handsome gentlemen, Sean and Mark. Hopefully you got some value out of goal setting. Until next time, thank you. Have an amazing weekend. Stay safe and enjoy spring, summer Sydney.
Amen.
Bye.